Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Higurashi When They Cry. It might be after midnight for me, and I might be busy with classes, but I want to continue. I did check for there are no new tips, so let's continue. And it's bright. I feel like this feels slower than normal, even the slow version. Hanyu has already grown used to being around us. Since Rika-chan and Sadako are her age, she's become especially close with them. I mean, there's other reasons, but yeah. Of course, Rena and Mion are looking after her too. Rena told me something the day Hanyu joined the class. She said that Hanyu has been close to us for a long time, that she's been watching us play, that she always wanted to join us. I still can't remember seeing her before, but somehow I can believe it. Hanyu has accepted all the things that surprised me at first, as if she knew about them all along. She knows everything about us, and it seems she's truly excited about finally being able to join in.
羽生もすっかり僕たちの仲間に溶け込みましたのです。
だな。なんだかずっと前からそうだったように感じるよ。そんなはずはないのにな。
そんなことありませんです。
イェーイ。
ずっと僕たちのそばにいましたですよ。
あれ、リカちゃんもそんなこと言うんだな。レナも言ってたよ。俺だけが気づいてなかったのかな。
圭一は鈍感だからきっと気づかなかったに違いないのです。
On the other hand, it means what you're saying if you haven't noticed her.
どうせ俺は鈍感ですよだ。
リカと圭一が座り込んでいますのです。疲れましたですか？羽生が疲れ知らずなだけなのです。僕たちは遊びすぎてヘトヘトなのですよ。だって僕はずっとみんなと一緒に遊びたかったからこれくらいでは遊び足りないのです。
Hanyu's too cute.
もっともっと遊びますですよ。
元気だな。ところで羽生さ、その頭のそれ。
Oh, so I can actually see them. Just not.
遊んでて落ちちゃわないのか？
Hanyu has horns on her head. I thought that it was a hair accessory of sorts, so I didn't want her to lose it while playing. I was going to offer to hold it for her while she ran around. But Hanyu's face clouded over, and she apologetically held on to the horns.
圭一、
Don't you know it's insensitive to ask about a girl's horns?
羽生のは取れませんのです。
Oh.
あ、そうなのか？変なこと言ってごめん。
やっぱり角なんかがあるとおかしいでしょうか。
I think it's strange to be so easily accepting of him.
おかしくなんかないよ。キュートでかいよ。
Rena's sense of fashion doesn't count.
そうそう。
Kei-chan even has a horn between his legs, don't you? What are you making me read, game? Why? Oh, it's hard and goes back. Blah. What kind of horn is between his legs? What kind? What? How do they change it for the console version? I wonder.
相変わらずレナさんのパンチだけは見切れませんわね。
Dear.
大丈夫ですのミオンさん。顔面がへこんでますわよ。
Everyone laughed except Hanyu, who didn't seem to get it. That's good. I shouldn't have said anything. I bet she doesn't like to talk about her horns. But if I try to apologize, I think things will get even more complicated. As I thought about what to say, Rena took the girls over to the shrine gate.
気にしなくていいのですよ、ケイチ。羽生も気にしないようにしているのですが、まだ修行が足りないということなのです。
やっぱ気にしてたんだな。すまん。これからは気をつけるぜ。
羽生は大昔にこのひなみ沢にやってきました。
A very long time ago.
あ、やっぱりそうだったんだ。だよな。村の中のことを転校生にしちゃ随分詳しかったしな。
And just lived there ever since.
羽生がひなみ沢に住む前、どこに住んでいたのかはよく知りません。
That's a good point, actually. I asked her once, but all she said was it was a place I wouldn't understand. Hanyu said that she, or rather Hanyu's people, couldn't live there anymore. They looked for a new place to live for a long time. They travelled a very long way before arriving at in Hinamizawa. There was a beautiful swamp in the area, and that was exactly what Hanyu's people were looking for. So the parasite? But there was a village nearby where people lived. To show respect to the original inhabitants of an area was law among the wandering people like Hanyu's. Her clan decided to live peacefully and coexist with the villagers. However, their attempts to coexist didn't go so well. The villagers were too childish and immature to accept these newcomers. They strongly rejected them, and caused a terrible, tragic disaster. Hanyu said she took their form and descended upon this land in order to subdue the disaster. However, she just couldn't hide her horns. The forbidden ancient documents say that Hanyu descended into the Furude shrine, appearing as she does today. It also states the following: Hanyu's people can't live anywhere other than this village. They can also only live by coexisting with the villagers. The Furude shrine's priest once rejected them, claiming that coexistence was impossible if mixing with wandering people's blood caused the villagers to become demons. The young heir of the Furude shrine fell in love with Hanyu, and when their child was born, the priest had to reconsider. The wandering people who cannot hide your horns, if you wish to settle in this land, if you wish to settle with our blood, now shall consider granting your wish. However, as the demon's blood mixed with the villagers, it became hard to tell who was human and who was demon. The villagers began to cast suspicion on one another, haunted by that paranoia. Unless all of that was resolved, coexistence would be impossible. For you and us to coexist, we must lay down several laws for us to follow. They will be very strict, and I am very, very sorry for imposing these upon you who have lived in peace until now. However, as long as those rules are followed, the village will be free from demonic disaster. Very well, the rules will be followed. And much blood has already been shed in the village. The anger, sins and corruption people bear cannot be cleansed. One law of the human world is that sins are atoned for with life. I see. If you say it's your way to let someone take on all responsibility and bury their sins with him, then we will do that. However, wouldn't people end up pushing responsibility on each other because nobody wants to die? Exactly. That's the ugly demon in the world of man. No one will accept their own sins, but only foist them onto each other. So, yeah, I was talking about this last part, and it's come up again. I think Rena talked about it last time. Yeah, Since they can only clear the balance of their lives, everyone refuses to pay, and the sins just keep adding up. Without cleansing them, they stagnate, and people cast them upon each other forever, doubting each other and passing them around. I see. If that is the unopposable law of this world, and you yourselves are troubled by this law, in exchange for coexisting with us, I shall grant you a world where people do not blame their sins on each other. What kind of world is it? So long as mankind exists, they will commit sins and give rise to corruption. How could that all be erased by foisting it onto someone else? Let me bear all the sins and corruption born from man, and purify my soul. Let all sins rest not with man. If they are born upon myself, then man will not need to force them on each other. What are you saying? Are you really going to make yourself into a sacrifice? Someone has to take on the sins, otherwise they won't be cleansed. That's the law of your world, isn't it? A different ancient document also states the following. Of course, it's a forbidden one too. Only the head of the Furude family is allowed to read it. Nobody else, not even the other heads of the three families. It tells that unrest grew in people's minds, that the villagers' evil hearts collected in the swamp and gave rise to demons. The Furude Shrine's priests explained that the root of all evil is the demon god of the swamp, and led the young villagers there. By the swamp, they found a demon mocking the unrest in people's hearts. The young villagers fought bravely, captured the demon, and dragged it to the Furude Shrine. The priests cleansed the demon god, opened her abdomen, and dragged out her organs. He chopped them up and washed them down the stream, then threw the body in the swamp. Then people regained their sanity. Those who had been suspicious of each other became friendly, and they all shared in the joy of peace again. If these forbidden ancient documents are real, and the object of the villagers' worship, Oyashiro-sama, was captured by the villagers, forced to bear all their sins, and torn to death. I think there's like a town, I don't know where, maybe in England or something, or Scotland, where some rich guy wanted to claim the place, was killed by the villagers, fairly brutally. And then they decided to name the village after him. And, well, his death. Plus, it's clearly written that the demons appeared after unrest grew in people's hearts. In other words, the demons were forced to bear the sin of discord that rested with man long before they arrived. Oyashiro-sama was a god who took on people's sins to mend conflicts between them. People eventually came to honor her, and it said that became the foundation of the faith in Oyashiro-sama. I don't understand exactly what that means, but I know one thing. When none of us humans would draw the losing straw, she offered to draw it in our stead. To prove it, we cleanse our filth by letting cotton absorb it and drift it down the stream during the Watem festival. There's no shame or shifting of responsibility involved. Until that system was created, we were simply demons who pushed our filth and responsibility on each other. We could only cleanse our own sins by blaming someone else and sacrificing him by cutting open his abdomen. And Hanyu took on that job. A purification ceremony without human life. A system that forgives people for their sins. That is the origin of the cult of Oyashiro-sama. She blames not people for their sins, but the curse. Those documents were sealed away. If they weren't, people would find out that the object of their own faith was falsely blamed and killed by their own ancestors. Hanyu apologizes. She takes in people's sins and keeps apologizing. When people can't deal with their own sins anymore, she accepts them. When Hanyu takes over, people are cleansed, and they are allowed to keep living. Demons take on sins by becoming cotton to absorb them. They are exterminated and washed down the stream, and then the village is forgiven. They are forgiven for their sins. Thinking in terms of parasite is perhaps, and like saying that demons becoming cotton, is there perhaps something where like the parasite can live in the cotton or something for a while, or that takes it to the next part of its life cycle or something? In any case, if that's all true, then Hanyu, or rather Oyashiro-sama, has such a tragic existence. I've asked Hanyu about this before, and she told me the following story. Oh? 4 people are stuck in a snowy mountain cabin. They play a game where each sit in one of the 4 corners. It's a fairly well-known story. I don't know it. It's in the middle of winter. They're all getting sleepy. If they fall asleep, they'll die. So one of them comes up with an idea. They're sitting in the 4 corners of the room, so someone just has to walk clockwise to the next corner and wake up the person sitting in that corner. The one who just walked will sit in that corner, and the one who just woke will get up, walk to the next corner, and wake up the person sitting there. If they keep doing that, nobody will fall asleep. People who know the story won't need an explanation. This doesn't work with 4 people. When the first person gets up, their corner becomes empty. So after everyone takes turns, the 4th person goes to the next corner, which is an empty one. They sit down and fall asleep, so the game is over right there, and everyone freezes to death. In other words, to play this game, you need more than 4 people. You need one more person in order to be saved. People usually tell this as a ghost story. They usually say that this is actually a group of 5 people, but one was already dead, and thanks to that ghost, they're able to continue living until the next morning. Hanyu once told me that she's like that 5th person. She can make everything run smoothly by joining a circle of people, then. It's very similar to how the telephone game of the mountain cabin manages to function without breaking. Hanyu can complete a circle that can't be realized by people alone, and those people can live peacefully. She's an existence that completes the circle. Is she bothered by her horns because it reminds her of a time when she was called a demon and punished for the sins she took in? Is the subconscious still tormenting her with the thoughts that those who have horns will also be persecuted?
あの角は生まれつきです。それを意味嫌われ、いじめられたこともありましたのです。
そうなのか？そりゃますます悪いことを言っちまったな。
そして羽生はその角があるがゆえに全ての罪を引き受け、生産するというとても大きなお役目を引き受け、全うし神と崇められたのです。
え？神？
僕の独り言なのです。忘れて大丈夫なのですよ。
Congratulations, you just met Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of the village. Nobody knows who Hanyu really is. Is she really a divine existence that descended from a higher place? Or is she simply an unlucky girl who became a sacrifice just because she had a pair of horns? Nobody knows. But this girl's blood was blended with the Furude family's blood. That blood has descended into me. Our legends state that if the Furude family has a girl for their firstborn child for 8 generations in a row, that 8th child will be a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I don't know exactly what that means, but I am that 8th generation. Is that why I was the only person who could see Hanyu? 8 generations is a very long time. Maybe that's how long it took for all the sins Hanyu assumed to be cleared. 8 represents infinity. It's a very lucky number. Often curses uttered will contain, "I'll curse you for 7 generations," but the 8th lies beyond that. In other words, 8 possesses such good fortune that it can forgive great curses and sins that span 7 generations. It's a number with power. It's a time Hanyu needed to cleanse all the sins she took in from the humans. Hanyu and her people simply wanted to coexist with us. But Hanyu had to become a sacrifice. Her stomach was cut open and its contents washed down the stream. Then she was thrown into the swamp. And so, the Furude family has been waiting. They waited for a very long time for her to come back. They kept our traditions alive, waiting forever and ever for her return. According to legend, the name Furude was made by adding a horn to the character of a fortune teller. The Furude family arose when Hanyu's bloodline was combined with that of human beings. Hanyu was the ancestor of the Furude family, as well as the mother of us all. When I was little, Hanyu taught me a lot more things than my mother did. It's no wonder. I'm her descendant. The curse of the clan who exorcised and buried their very own mother was finally absolved after 8 generations. What seemed like eternity. Possibly longer than 8 generations, because it's 8 generations of firstborn daughters. And then she met me, her descendant, the final generation of the Furude family. Sometimes when I think about that, I feel like there must be some important meaning to this hapless fate thrust upon me. What kind of meaning could the trial I face, the trial of breaking through the obstacles sealing my fate, have upon the curse that plagued Hanyu and the Furude family for over a millennium? 1,000 years is simply too long a period to communicate thoughts and intentions correctly. Hanyu has become the curse we called Oyashira-sama. Though she originally was a means of salvation, she has become the chain that binds people. The rules about coexisting were misinterpreted as a law that binds villagers to this place, and that continued until the Meiji era. While the village winds once again blow towards the misunderstanding of isolation thanks to the dam conflict. How does that play into my meeting with Hanyu and this motley fate we're trapped in? I haven't lived long enough to be able to understand that. The only thing I can say for sure is that the Furude family originated when Hanyu's bloodline mixed with that of humans, and the lion's final descendant, me, finally met with its ancestor. The Furude bloodline bears a cursed history of placing all of man's sins onto its mother and killing her. Now the beginning and end of that line have met. Hanyu always wanted to join everyone, yet she couldn't hide her horns. Even so, she still wished to be in existence that completes the circle. It's a child's job to bury their parents. But mother, I've never heard that it's a child's job to kill and bury their parents. Don't ask, child. I'm not human. My horns are proof that I'm a demon. A demon's job is to take on the calamities of the human world. Burying the calamities of this chaotic world and cleansing the unrest in mankind's heart is my role. And mother, why do you have to be the one? People's sins are people's sins. They aren't yours. Listen, child. People live with their sins. They can't live without making someone else take the blame. Nobody wants to take the blame, so they shift that responsibility around. That is a demon, a true demon disrupting the world of man. By burying it myself, man may be cleansed, and mankind can be freed from their destiny of doubt and conflict. Let all the sins, the filth, the karma, and the curse come to me. Then attack me, purify me, wash me down the stream, and throw me in the swamp. The human will not do, so it is the fate of one not human to accept that role. If human were made to bear it, mankind would not be freed from the demon of doubt. I don't understand. I don't understand, mother. Mother, you have horns. Are you saying you aren't human just because you have horns? But even if you are human, the horns make you non-human. Even if you have horns, you're human to me. My child, you're the only one who's ever said that. Even if everyone calls me blank or blank, you still call me human. We'll just pass down through days many forbidden scrolls, the ones unknown to even the heads of the 3 families, sealed in the altar of the shrine storage. Understanding that will probably require about as much time as I've spent repeating time. Yet once you understand that, perhaps you'll better understand the smile Hanyu wears as she innocently plays with everyone. I heard Mion yell in surprise. Something must have happened.
なんだどうしたんだ
羽生さんがそこでふざけてて転んで斜面を転げ落ちていったんですわ。羽生ちゃん、大丈夫？綺麗に転がってったけど捻挫とかしてないかな。
She rolled beautifully.
行こう行こう。
Haha! Hanyu had been playing on the slope and tumbled down it. There's a road just below the slope. Mion and the others went down the stairs to get her. Let's go. I hope she isn't injured. Oh. When I got there, I saw Tomitake-san and Takano-san, They were taking care of her.
これはどういうことなんだい？急に彼女が転がり落ちてきてね。
ずいぶん綺麗に転がってきたわね。でも頭をゴチンとやってしまったみたいだから、後でコブになってしまうかもね。よく冷やしておいた方がいいわよ。
私たちの声が聞こえます？ほら、指は何本に見えますの？
She sounded disoriented, but didn't appear to be injured. What a relief for everyone. I bet she's just feeling dizzy from rolling.
でもよかったね。怪我がなくて。
いやはや。
It's been several days. Haven't heard about where she's staying still.
しかし、転がってった先に看護師さんがいてくれたなんてできすぎだね。
On the other
あら
hand, it's
非番の時の私は野鳥撮影家なのよ。
on the other hand, how terrible it is to come across Takano.
ねえ次郎さん。
まあね、そういうことさ。
まあ、ひなみ沢っ子なら、このくらいで怪我はできねえよな。羽生も、もう立派なひなみ沢の仲間のことだ。
Oh, what leaps and bounds and logic Cage she has.
羽生ちゃんっていうの？見かけない子ね。新しいお友達？
ええ、そうですわよ。月曜日に転校してきたばかりなんですのよ。
これ何？変わってるわね。おもちゃ？
Takano-san tried to poke at one of Hanu's holes. They'd be an interesting hair accessory, if they were an accessory.
それは羽生ちゃんのチャームポイントなので取っちゃダメなんです。
あら、そうなの？私はあまり可愛くないと思うんだけど。だってほら、化け物みたいじゃない？
Damn it, Takano! Suddenly, Hanu moaned as if suffocating.
高野、羽生は化け物じゃありませんです。二度と言ったら許さないのです。
そうだよ、高野さん。人の趣味に悪いよ。
ごめんなさいね。決してそんなつもりはなかったんだけど。
Rika-chan said it rather firmly. I'm sure Hanu doesn't want to hear that word. Sometimes Takano-san says things in a derogatory way without realizing it herself. But I guess there are things you can't or shouldn't say. Hanu was looking at Takano-san with a complicated look on her face. After seeing that expression, Takano-san realized she might have hurt her feelings. She apologized and left with Toмотaki-san. There's more to it than that, but okay.
大丈夫？羽生、綺麗に転げ落ちたから大して怪我はないそうです。リカ、今の人、今の人？高野ですよ。高野、高野。
Hanu repeated Takano's name. Takano-san's name. All of a sudden, I grew worried that she hit her head or something. Hanu stood straight up and grabbed Rika-chan's collar.
リカ、高野です。高野。そうですよ。高野ですよ。
Does this Rika not know?
違う、リカ。高野です。高野。覚えてないのですか？知ってるわよ。
Yes.
高野美代でしょ？入江診療所の。思い出せないのですか？ごめん、羽生。
Oh.
何の話？
Oh. doesn't know.
リカ、そんな。
Hanyu's finally entered the stage, and despite Rika going through everything so that she'd remember her death in the next run, can't remember. Oh, game, why do you do this? And on that note, I will end it here for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, see ya.